Well, I'm joined now by Andrew Haldenby, director of the right-wing think tank Reform, and the campaigner Bianca Jagger, who's fighting the cuts to legal aid. Well, Bianca Jagger, you've been demonstrating today. What's wrong with trying to cut this bloated system?
What is wrong is that it will affect the most vulnerable and the most in need people in this country, and that it will put at risk the justice system, and you will have the danger of having miscarriages of justice. And
I mean, the government denies this, obviously.
Well, of course, the government denies that, but they have not really given us answers to all the questions that we have. And some of the tests that they are putting forward, like the residence test, for example,
This is when you have to be in the country for a year before you qualify.
For 12 months. I mean, when I think Jean-Charles de Menezes, for example, he wouldn't have been able to have legal aid. I'm thinking about people like Bahamusa either. But I'm thinking as well about the most vulnerable children and families that will be affected by this as well.
But so should it just be a free-for-all? Anybody who wants it should get it?
No, well, not, of course not. I mean, it's never been that way either. It's not here that way, and it's not in any other country that way.
But the bill has gone up a lot.
But when you think about it, 37,500 of a joined, income for a family. I mean, that means that you're talking about police, you're talking about teachers, you're talking about all sort of people that will have to sell all their belongings, that will have to go bankrupt, that will not be able to have legal aid and will not be able to defend themselves.
Andrew Haldenby, she's right, isn't she?
Well, I don't think so. I think what the government is trying to do is actually to guarantee access to justice for nearly all of the population, the people below that residency test. And the trouble the UK has is that we have the most expensive system of legal aid in the world, and a number of university studies have shown that. So that the previous government, the Labour government, also tried to take money out of legal aid, and now this government is too. It can't be surprising. To disagree with you, Mr. Jagger, I do think that the government is trying its hardest to preserve access. It's just trying to take costs out of the legal system to enable people still to access legal aid.
I mean, it is a big cut. It's about a fifth of the bill. Do you accept that there will just have to be injustices, that it's a price worth paying because we need to make these cuts?
No. Well, firstly, it's a tenth of the bill, not a fifth. And secondly, all the same services that are available to people today will be available tomorrow after this reform goes through. The difference is that at the moment there's 1,700 firms, lots and lots of small firms providing them. The government thinks they can reduce that number, make it more efficient. Quite likely, I think. They think they can make it more productive, better managed. And
companies like Eddie Stobart, G4S, who aren't involved in the legal system at the moment?
Companies like G4S are involved in the criminal justice system, and companies like G4S and many other companies provide, they work in the health service, the armed forces, the military are dependent on companies like this. We're used to them working in our public sector. And then for the people, the most challenging thing, I think, is the idea that people with a high income should have to pay for their own aid. But yesterday we had Ed Balls saying that the richest pensioners should no longer receive certain benefits. So this is part of the reforms we're in.
And Bianca Jagger, do you accept even people who support the idea of legal aid have a feeling now that the price has just rocketed, that lawyers are making a lot of money out of a system that's just got too expensive?
You know what is I think the misunderstanding that some people have is that yes, some lawyers make a lot of money, but the legal aid lawyers really earn very little. I mean, their salaries are similar to policemen, to teachers. We're not talking about people who earn a lot of money. I would like to ask as well another country from the government, is that if they think that this is such a
but have you seen all the solicitors all over the world, all over Britain, who have these adverts up on these, on the streets, on high streets in Britain, advertising for services? They're all legal aid funded.
Well, legal aid funding, but it is a different thing. Do we want to cut the services and the legal aid so that we will have risk of miscarriages of justice? Remember, when the government talks about criminals, and let's remember that 45% of all people that are charged turn out to be innocent. So when we're talking in general terms about criminal, really we are talking more than, we're talking about almost 50% of people who will be innocent. When we're talking about legal aid and cutting it, we are talking really, why is it that they're so interested in cutting the judicial review? Is it because this government doesn't want to be accountable? Is it because this government doesn't want people to be able to challenge them anymore?
Or is it because there are judicial reviews every day going on and on, and lots of them fail?
But one of the things that as well that is being analyzed by judges and QC is that if we are going to put people who earn, we're not going to give legal aid to people who earn less than 37,500. We will have a lot of people who will be representing themselves, and then the cases that could have taken 4 days will be taking a long, much longer than that, and it will cost a lot more to the government.
I mean, Andrew Haldenby, we had a very compelling case study in that Peter, Zimbabwean asylum seeker, wouldn't qualify these days, under the new system, and yet, are you saying that's all right?
Well, any part of this has to be looked at. I mean, it may be that the government should put more money into cases of that kind of silent cases, but that will just mean that money will have to be saved elsewhere. I mean, if I was in your shoes, dare I say, I mean, the UK government is making a lot of cuts. It's protecting some areas from cuts so that bigger cuts fall in areas like legal aid and the justice system. I would be questioning, is it fair to make this level of cuts when other budgets are being protected?
Andrew Haldenby, Bianca Jagger, we've run out of time. Thank you very much.